think it has something to do with the fact that we all can all afford to laugh a little bit more right now, and that's exactly what we set out to do when we made this special. So climate-wise, I feel like we could use a little something lighter. Yeah. And also, you gotta be careful when you do like reunions. You know, it's like if you wait too long, then nobody cares. If you do it too fast, and they haven't missed you enough. 4 years, a kid could go all the way through high school in that amount of time. That felt about right. You know?
What about for you guys coming back? You talked about that panel earlier, how it was just so good to be back with everybody.
Yeah.
How was it like that first day shooting, just kind of getting back into that work?
First day was a little surreal, because in some ways it was like no time had passed, and in other ways you did sort of feel like the 4 years of not having seen a whole bunch of people that you're very, very fond of, because they're all Canadians. So I mean, obviously it was very special, but it was also like it took, it's like you date somebody and it's great, but then it doesn't work out, and then you don't see them for a while. It's like it's a little bit of like warm up period was required, but it didn't take long.
Santa Barbara was such a big part of the series. It was almost like another character. So why the choice to move to San Francisco?
Well, for one, it's never really Santa Barbara anyway, so it's not like we felt like we were cheating on Santa Barbara. We just slid down a couple of boats on the pier in Vancouver. No, I think because the majority of the cast moved on to San Francisco, it was just easier to construct a story that included more people by keeping it in San Francisco. Plus, it was, new sets. New adventures. Yeah, new stock shots.
Any chance we'll see a Psych Halloween special in the future at some point?
Maybe. I have no idea what their plan is with these things, but I have heard that they want to do more than one. So I would think that we wouldn't do another Christmas one. So maybe Halloween would be cool. Yeah. You know me, man. I love the scary stuff. So I'm down for Halloween.
How did Zachary Levi come up? How was that?
Zach's been a buddy of Dulé and I's for years. We would run into him a lot at like NBC sort of functions, and then when we discovered that he could sing like a bird, we got the bright idea of writing him a part in the Psych musical, which, because of scheduling, did not come to fruition. So it's been like a box that we've wanted to check that we hadn't, and then this time it worked out. It was great. Plus, I feel like there's a lot of crossover between our fans and the Chuck fans, and it would be fun to see us all together.
What can you tell us about the relationship between Sean and Jules?
Well, there still is one. And the rest, you'll just have to wait for. Yeah.
How big of a challenge was it to kind of rewrite the script a little bit after Tim had got to?
Well, I mean, obviously our hearts were with Tim, and everything else was secondary to that. But I think, if anything, we were able to sort of turn that into a pretty great sort of spiritual motivation and a cause to, like, hey, let's do this, let's do it right, let's do it as best as we possibly can, and let's have Tim on our minds the whole time. So I think the fact that we were doing it for Tim is what allowed us, I think, to stay as focused and to turn it over as quickly as we did. Like, if they had just come to us and said, hey guys, this is too expensive, you have 3 days to rewrite the script, we might have said thanks, but we'll pass. We don't know. Because it was Tim, I think we were able to sort of unite for a pretty great cause. And what should have been a lot more difficult than it was turned out to like go pretty swimmingly. Yeah. And vodka helps. Copious amounts of vodka. Yeah.
Do you feel like Sean matured a lot since you left from him, or is he still playing the same antics that we saw before?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see a super mature Sean. I don't know if we want to see that. I don't know if there's a show there. So I think he has to. I think he has to be a version of the Sean that we know, no matter what. But always tiny baby steps. I mean, I think knowing is half the battle, and I think Sean knows more. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's able to execute the knowledge, but he at least knows things that maybe he didn't know when we last left him. Yeah.
You guys talk about fans a lot, and when you're putting this together, how much of a balance did you try to put between giving the fans of the show before what they wanted, but also bringing some new stuff to the table as well?
I would say this one was probably 90% giving the fans what we hoped they would. This really was just sort of a love letter to the fans. I mean, like I said on the panel, like if we only get to do one of these, then let's make sure this one is for the fans. And then I would say, 10% was like, hey, let's see if we can come up with some new stuff too, because time has passed. And there should be some subtle changes. But mostly we just wanted to tap into some of those core elements that kept people around for so long, and then deliver on that as best as we could. Yeah.
Are you the kind of artist that tends to hold on to things, or after Psych is good, are you moving on to the next thing, or is Psych still on your mind for a while?
I don't hold on to anything, not just my art. I don't have earthly belongings either. I'm a full-on gypsy, so I do let go of things quickly, but I can also get them back quickly. Psych is in my blood, it's in my bones, it always will be, so anytime they want to get us back together again, I'll always be happy to oblige. But yeah, I think it's important for what we do to be able to let go pretty quickly and move on to other stuff.
Can you tell us about the dynamic between you and your dad?
Henry stayed behind in Santa Barbara, so I'm guessing it was, birthday and Father's Day phone calls, the occasional text, because Sean is just as surprised as I think the fans will be when he shows up, and isn't quite the same Henry that we remember. Yeah. Let's leave it at that.
Good team.